Goob be watching UFOs?
Need some advice, Rockhead. Make sure you get drunk or hit a stick of PCP before you go over there.
Goob, you saw Alien?
Shit cool. Everybody funny.
Yeah. Light your blunts. Get your drinks. Show's about to begin. Welcome to the Goob Show. We got Pomona in the building. Talk about the aliens, the government betrayed you. Talk about the flying saucers seeing from the building. Higher than I'm feeling, they look rather appealing. The Goob Show. They abducting the human race. Aliens appearing and moving in outer space. Ancient text mentions them sharing wisdom with all. But humans don't be listening, rather start them a war. Fucking off the planet, pollution causing the damage.
Welcome to the Goob Show. In today's video, we're going to react to a young Steven Spielberg who made two of the most famous extraterrestrial movies in the history, E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, as he explains why he thinks that the government is hiding UFO information. He also speaks about a president who had a conversation with him and let him know that one of his movies was 100% on point. We also have a video of a ufologist who has been threatened with death because he's exposing UFO exposure. Let's get into this content.
I'll go on to the part that got me in the next lot of trouble. I was in Las Vegas 6 months ago, lecturing at a very big international conference there, and the subject of my lecture was information I was releasing about a confrontation between UFOs and our warships up in the Arctic Ocean. Now, I've got some very, very good contacts, and as Graham said, of course, these can't be named for obvious reasons, but I had contacts who were informing me that there was very large underwater craft had been operating up from the Arctic Circle on the coast of Iceland, down past Norway, down to the coast of England, and that several warships had been sent to the area, including NATO warships, American warships, and also submarines. I was also told that what had happened was radar, the advanced warning radar, had picked up objects coming down and actually landing in the sea, up off the Arctic Circle once again. Now then, the next thing that happened, these things were seen to come down and enter the sea. The next thing that happened, the Icelandic fishermen, obviously Iceland, the whole of its economy is based on its fishing industry, and so they've got many fishing boats, reported seeing these huge underwater objects moving at fast speeds close to their boats, and in fact certain instances these things actually tangled with the nets of the fishing boats and tore them to shreds. There was a confrontation of some sort going on up there between our warships and whatever it was under the water, and this is what I was lecturing about in Las Vegas. And when I got down from my lecture, I was pulled to one side by certain people, and Wendell, who spoke previously, knows all about this because he was at the same conference. And I was warned in no uncertain terms that if I carried on the way I was going to be killed. Excuse me. They also got my wife and threatened my wife. And they said I was a very dangerous person. I was releasing top secret information which wasn't for the public knowledge. And they would stop me. They said, I was told, make no mistake, they were going to stop me. They said it wasn't a case of don't do it again, it was a case you've gone too far already, so you're a marked man. That's what they said. And their parting shot with me was, watch your car when you're driving in future. Now, the significance of that was that when I'd been on the stage, I had been telling them about an incident where somebody who had been releasing information 12 months earlier in Germany had been killed in a road accident. And he had been releasing information similar to what I'd been talking about. Now, when this chap was killed in the road accident in Germany, the German police said that he'd been drinking heavily, etc., which led to the accident, which was a load of rubbish because this man had been teetotal all his life. So that's when the significance of watch your car when you're driving it in future came into the equation. So, what I do is I tell everybody about it. So if anything happens to me, you all know why. And that's my safeguard, my protection. I was in America 2 years ago, and I was talking in Tucson in Arizona at the World UFO Congress there, and I was talking about an incident which certainly investigators know about, but perhaps other people don't, where the UFO crashed in South Africa and the UFO was recovered plus live aliens. And I was lecturing in Tucson, Arizona about that. And on that occasion, when I came down the stage, I was also taken to one side. That was a couple of years earlier. But this time it was by the CIA. And they weren't quite as belligerent towards me. They certainly threatened me and said, look, we have means of stopping you. If you carry on the way you are, we're going to stop you one way or the other. Make no mistake about it. You're causing upset, you are. You're rocking the boat, if you like. And we have means to stop you. And I said to them at the time, I said, no, you've got means to stop me. I said, but if you've got the means, stop me. Because I'm not going to stop unless they stop me. And that might seem a silly thing to say, but I've been in this thing now for 20 years. I've certainly been at it 4 times since I finished in the police. There are things out there which are occurring which the public has a right to know about. It affects the public. It is our future. And I think the public have a right to know about it. And I will do my damnedest to get to the bottom of this. And I will release it when I get it. And I don't care who it upsets.
That's real gangster about him. He's not going to stop. I should have got his name, but this right here is Obama's pilot speaking about a UFO.
Joins me now, Andy Danziger. Thank you so much for being here. So tell me about that night. It's April, it's 1989. You're the first officer on a regional airline flying from Kansas City to Waterloo, Iowa. What did you see in the sky?
Unbelievable.
Okay.
We took off from Kansas City, beautiful, clear night, got up to cruise altitude, which was around 15,000 feet, for an hour and 15-minute flight. Wispy, scattered clouds all around us at cruise altitude, a crescent moon visible out the left side. Nice night. It's something really strange out this way. There was just what looked like a moon dimly visible behind some of those thin, wispy clouds.
So a round red disc,
Nope.
you say?
White disc.
A white disc,
Yep.
you say. So you see a white disc, and you're like, wait a second, the moon's over there. Holy crap, what is that?
Wasn't quite that exciting yet.
Okay.
Got more exciting.
Okay, then what happened?
First, we're trying to figure out, because remember, you see stuff in the sky all the time,
Sure.
and you learn to identify all kinds of bizarre things. This thing is sitting here. We're looking for searchlights down on the ground. Immediately, you could rule out the moon, because the moon was a crescent, and this was a full thing. 40 minutes. We're flying. It's
And you
just
see
there.
that thing
Yeah.
just sitting there on the horizon.
Yeah.
How far away?
Don't know. It's hard because there's no real depth perception. You know, it's just there's clouds. They look close.
Yes.
This thing looked close, but I couldn't tell you exactly how far away it was. So 40 minutes, we're flying along, and we finally have to kind of get busy. We're talking about it the whole time. We finally have to get busy getting ready to descend into Waterloo. And I'm heads down getting weather and talking to the company, telling them when we're going to get there. And the captain's doing something else. And when I look up, it was like, oh, my God.
Then what happened?
That's not what we said.
Okay.
And, both eyes on this thing, a gigantic red ball. It's the only way I could describe it.
Okay.
Above the clouds. It was big. It took up almost half of the window. And we just are looking at it.
Is it closer to you at that point?
I don't think so,
Okay.
but it was close.
But it changed color and
Well, it was
shape.
above the cloud now. It
Okay.
wasn't below the cloud. It had been that, whatever that white disc was, apparently is what this
And now
red thing
it goes
was.
from a white disc to a red ball, and then it disappeared into the clouds.
As we started descending, it slowly started coming down. Quarter of it hidden, half of it hidden, 3/4 of it hidden. This happened over a minute, half a minute. And the instant all of it was behind the clouds just started flashing on and off lights. Like they were in, it was unbelievable. Just boom, boom,
And you reported this, and they told you to...
Wait, it gets better.
You don't have that much time. We have to get through this, Andy. I'm dying over here.
The lights are flashing,
Yeah.
and you could see the clouds starting to pull apart into two. And the instant the thing got thinner and thinner in the middle, the instant it was finished, the clouds separated as it pulled apart, it was all gone.
So do you think that was a UFO?
There's no
Do you
question.
think it was an alien spacecraft?
Probably.
Do you believe in aliens?
Look, there's billions and billions of stars, trillions of planets.
Yeah.
That thing's fucking cooking, dude. That's not a bird.
It's gone already. It's over the ridge line.
What the?
That on his arm?
Yeah, he dropped that on my leg.
Sorry. I saw it.
Dude, that thing is cooking. Did you see that?
This first clip is a satellite. You can see it moving nice and slow. And yes, it was on a satellite radar. These things are moving fast, going in misdirections. It's kind of blinking. That's one clip, and here's another one. Here it displays the misdirections, and now these not bats, because I understand bats can fly up to 10, 20,000 feet, but I would be able to see it with my eyes. I was not able to see these things with my naked eye. I have $1,000 camera. I know how to use the settings. That's why it looks like this. I turn my settings up so I can be able to see some things that I usually don't see. As you can see right here, it kind of rolled around above the banister on my third floor that's facing west. It originally came from
Bro, what am I?
I'm looking at it. This is the second Chicago video. But this one shows just a little bit different. Almost with the other young man. So I think it's the same person. Too high for a drone, too low for a satellite. Would you think that?
What? What the fuck going on?
I didn't actually see what he saw. He must have seen multiple ones. Or maybe it changed direction and we didn't see it.
Whoa.
That was moving fast.
Report for left heading 310. 310, show 6084.
It's a strange small object that we just flew by, a small silver canister. Do you know what that could be?
49er Kilo, we've had no reports in that area. What altitude and direction is it heading?
It appears to be standing still. I'm at 3,500 feet. It was right off our wingtip. Small silver canister.
Roger, thanks. Do you think it's a drone or is it like a balloon type?
I saw nothing attached to it. It was sort of hovering there. It was astonishing. I don't know what it was.
Creepy.
I want to believe.
Chrono 402, contact approach on 125.75.
2575, Chronos 402. Good luck with the aliens.
84, clear visual approach on Mesa Pacific, contact tower.
Clear vision 23 over tower, 6342.
Yeah. 503, sir, Papa, Alpha 06, correction, traffic, you're following 6 mile low phase, up here, E175, go showing turbulence.
Following the E175, keep looking for the traffic, 503, sir, Papa. 503, sir, Papa, 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 503, s
And this is out here, Casa Grande. It's about 40 minutes from me. This video has no sound, but you'll see basically a triangular object. This interests me because those have been seen a couple times in Arizona. Phoenix Lights, and then another time we seen it over our area. But nothing like this. If you don't know what to look for, it's in the background. You can kind of see it back here, right there. And it pretty much just moves with them for a minute. Because it seems like it's more than just 3 orbs, or whatever they are. I'm suspecting that they're orbs.
And then creating this threat narrative with this beating the drumbeat of threat, 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 because that's always been the goal. As Werner von Braun, who invented the rocket cradle of Hitler, said when he was brought into our aerospace programs in the 40s and in the 1970s, you know, told Carol Rosin, yeah, the whole agenda here is to create a false alien threat to unite the world around a militaristic, fascist, and totalitarian regime, and to support the military-industrial complex by having an enemy bigger than just one country, like Russia or China or Iran.
Let me give you a little insight. Dr. Greer is with NASA. He's been on some of the congressional hearings speaking on UFOs. He speaks about UFOs a lot. He's just giving his intake on what he thinks going on in society now as far as revealing UFOs or letting the public know that there are UFOs hovering above us.
So that's the goal, and that's what they're doing. And I hate to tell everyone they are succeeding at that level in terms of the PR level because they own the media. You know, whether it's BlackRock, and all these other conglomerates that are asset managers with trillions of dollars controlling boards and influence, or having people blackmailed through things like Epstein Island, or on the payroll and bribed and paid off the way they tried to bribe me with $2 billion in 1992, which I rebuffed. But most people don't rebuff $2 billion or even 10 million or 5 million. Nope. Everybody's got a price. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So everyone listening needs to understand that's the name of the game and that's what's happening. And so just know that we're playing a very long game here. This has been a 35-year enterprise on my part. Is coming to a head, and that's what's in its. I'll just say it's well in hand. So one way or another, all this is going to come out in the next year or two, maybe in the next 6 months. But the way it comes out will determine the human future.
And that is crazy that he said the human future. When it comes out, I think that video was done maybe a year ago. So we're getting close to what he's talking about. This next video, this is young Steven Spielberg. Let's get into this.
I wouldn't put it past this government that a cosmic Watergate has been underway for the last, 25 years. And at the same time, I don't think it's, I think as we're growing up, or from the government's point of view, I think we've been adults for hundreds of years, but from the government's point of view, we're still growing up, and eventually they might want to tell us something about what they've discovered over the decades. There is a rumor that was in U.S. News and World Report a number of months ago that Jimmy Carter might make some unsettling disclosures about the UFO phenomena sometime in December. It's perfect timing. I opened my movie in December, so it's perfect timing.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right there. I want to get to something. When he speaks about his movie that he's talking about, the president is going to talk about. I believe that interview was in 1982. What I want to get to here, if you've never read this book here, Behold a Pale Horse. There's two movies that Steven Spielberg done based on Extraterrestrial. The first one was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was done in 1977. The second one was E.T. That was in 1982. So let's go to the first one. The first one that he had was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Let's go there. So the book that I just showed you was Behold a Pale Horse. Let me go back to that real quick. Let me just jump right back to that real quick. Look at this book, go to chapter 12, and Behold a Pale Horse. Close Encounter of the Third Kind and E.T., the Extraterrestrial, are true events that occurred. Now, how Steven Spielberg knew about that, there's a few people from what I've read in this book here, is that they had people that were actually on the film studio for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But I want to go to chapter 12. I just want to read something out of this book in chapter 12 called The Secret Government. In 1953, astronomers discovered large objects in space that were tracked moving toward the Earth. It was first believed that there were asteroids. Later evidence proved that the objects could only be spaceships. Project Sigma intercepted alien radio communications when the objects reached the Earth. They took a very geocentric orbit around the equator. There were several huge ships, and their actual intent was unknown. Project Sigma and a new project, Plato, through radio communications using the computer binary language, were able to arrange a landing that resulted in face-to-face contact with alien beings from another planet. Now, if anybody remembers Close Encounters of the Third Kind, this landing took place in the desert. The movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a fictionalized version of the actual events. Project Plato was tasked with establishing diplomatic relations with the race of space aliens. A hostage was left with us as a pledge that they will return and formalize a treaty. In the meantime, a race of humanoid aliens landed at Homestead Air Force Base in Florida and successfully communicated with the U.S. government. This group warned us against the race orbiting the equator and offered to help us with our spiritual development. They demanded that we dismantle and destroy our nuclear weapons as the major condition. They refused to exchange technology, citing that we were spiritually unable to handle the technology we already possess. All right, so now that they started the treaty, this is what's going to trip you out. Now, if you remember, at the end of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Richard Dreyfuss went on to a UFO with about 5 or 6 other people, and they were walking, and that's where the movie basically ends. Listen to this part. The treaty stated that the aliens would not interfere in our affairs and we would not interfere in theirs. We would keep the presence on Earth a secret. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulations that the humans would not be harmed, would be returned to the point of abduction. Now, I know you've heard of a lot of abductions around, but that's not the point. It would agree that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. It was further agreed that the alien nation and the United States would engage 16 personnel with purpose of learning of each other. The alien guests would remain on Earth. The human guests would travel to the alien point of origin for a specific period of time, then return, at which point a reverse exchange would be made. A reenactment of this event was dramatized in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So Steven Spielberg made that in 1977. 1982, another movie came out, E.T. Now, E.T. is also a true event, written in this, stated in this book, just as Close Encounters was. Behold a Pale Horse. You guys can pick it up. Go to chapter 12. And you will see exactly what I'm talking about. But listen to this. This is what it states in the book about E.T. Because E.T., Steven Spielberg just changed the name. And you'll hear it. Between January 1947 and December 1952, at least 16 crashed or downed alien craft, 65 alien bodies, and 1 live alien were recovered. An additional alien craft had exploded and nothing was recovered. Of these events, 13 occurred within the borders of the United States, not including the craft that disintegrated in the air. Of these 13, 1 was in Arizona, 11 were in New Mexico, and 1 was in Nevada. 3 occurred in foreign countries. Of those, 1 was in Norway. The last 2 were in Mexico. Sightings of UFOs were so numerous that serious investigation and debunking of each report became impossible, utilizing the existing intelligence assets. Now, there was a survivor. The live alien that had been found wandering in the desert from the 1949 Roswell crash was named E.B. Not too far off from E.T., E.B. The name had been suggested by Dr. Vannevar Bush and was short for Extraterrestrial Biological Entity, EB. Had a tendency to lie and for over a year would give only desired answers to questions asked. Those questions that would have resulted in an undesirable answer went unanswered. At some point during the second year of captivity, he began to open up. The information derived from EB was startling, to say the least. This compilation of revelations became a foundation of what later would be called the Yellow Book. Let's get back to this content.
And Carter reported a UFO sighting twice.
Yeah.
Has he seen the picture?
Last Saturday.
What do you think?
We haven't heard the direct feedback. We hear he liked it quite a bit, and we haven't really heard directly from the president.
I was gathered in a schoolyard with about 20 other men, and we saw a bright light appear in the distant western skies, and it got closer and closer, and when it was just above the treetops, it changed color, and then it stayed there for a while, and then it disappeared into the distance. And none of us could ever imagine what it was, and I still don't know what it was.
In 76, you said you'd try and release all information to the public and to scientists about other UFO sightings.
Yes.
Do you think you achieved that?
I'm not sure, but we did release a lot of the information, but I don't know how much was not released.
In view of the fact that your own president has cited it, reported it, why is it that so many responsible people accuse the U.S. government of covering up UFO sightings? And why would the forces of the government try to do that?
Well, it's very popular today because of Watergate to blame the government for anything that we think we should know about that we don't know about. Dr. Hynek has referred to UFOs in America as a cosmic Watergate. There are several reasons why the government could be, withholding information beyond the Freedom of Information Act. The Robertson panel that convened in the early 50s decided that UFOs were not a threat to our national security, but could be a threat to our national security by clogging all the proper channels of communication, creating rumors. During the Cold War, when we were already frightened of the intercontinental ballistic missiles arriving in 18 and a half minutes, and the government was afraid that too many UFO reports could be misleading, could mislead our own facilities, our own NORAD facilities, into thinking that what looked like a non-specific, what looked like an uncorrelated target could be, in fact, an incoming missile. And they didn't want to confuse UFOs with a threat from communist Russia.
I was there.
You were there? Okay, so is it... the story that I heard was that when Reagan saw it, he started talking about how close to reality it was, and he was quickly ushered out of the room. Is that true?
No, he wasn't ushered out of the room. He was the President of the United States. Nobody could usher Ronald Reagan out of the room. It was in the White House screening room.
Yeah.
And Reagan got up to thank me for bringing the film to show to show the President, the First Lady, and all of their guests, which included Sandra Day O'Connor in her first week as a justice of the Supreme Court, and it included some astronauts. I think Neil Armstrong was there. I'm not 100% certain, but it was an amazing evening, and he just stood up and he looked around the room almost like he was doing a head count, and he said, "I want to thank you for bringing E.T. to the White House. We really enjoyed your movie." And then he looked around the room and he said, "And there are a number of people in this room who know that everything on that screen is absolutely true." And he said it without smiling. But he said that, and everybody laughed. By the way, the whole room laughed because he presented it like a joke, but he wasn't smiling as he said it.
Yeah.
The room did laugh, and then later on, I'll never forget my conversation with the president. He pulled me aside. He said, and I can't do Reagan, but I wish I could do that breathy, wonderful voice of his.
Yeah.
And Nancy Reagan was standing right next to him, and the president said to me, I only have one criticism about your movie. And I said, what's that? He said, how long were the end credits? And I said, I don't know, maybe 3.5 minutes. He said, in my day, when I was an actor, our end credits were maybe 15 seconds long. He said, why don't you let everybody get a credit, 3.5, 4 minutes, that's fine, but only show that inside the industry. But throughout the rest of the country, reduce your credits to 15 seconds at the end. And Nancy Reagan turned to him and said, "Oh, Ronnie, they can't do that. You know that." And he went, "Oh, yes, I suppose."
That's awesome.
That was the extent of my conversation about that. That was the only criticism. He felt the end credits were too long.
But I've often wondered, what if
all of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet, wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us at all? We were all human beings, citizens of the world, and wouldn't we come together to fight that particular threat?
Well, there you have it. Two presidents, young Steven Spielberg. If you want to know more about those movies, man, go get Behold a Pale Horse. It'll tell you a lot. It won't disappoint. Y'all leave a comment down in the comment section what you think about it. You believe, you don't believe. Subscribe to the channel. It's first time here. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Hey, if I ain't never told you, it don't take much just to look up. Peace, I'm out of here.
Welcome to the Goose Show. We got Pomona in the building. Talk about the aliens, the government betrayed you. Talk about the flying saucers seeing from the building. Higher than I'm feeling, they look rather appealing. The Goose Show.